Hi guys, welcome back to the Drive Life channel. In today's video, we're joined by this fantastic Jeep Wrangler. This is the latest generation of the Jeep Wrangler. And those of you that have watched the channel before will know that Mrs. DL and I, we had a JK Wrangler, which was the one before this. This is quite a controversial truck in the Jeep world. They no longer offer a diesel option. It's a 2-litre petrol engined 270 horsepower unit, and today we're going to give it a full sort of living with it experience. We're going to take it on a nice drive. We're going to tell you what it's like to live with, show you everything you need to know about it, really determine whether the Jeep Wrangler is a vehicle that works in the UK, because this thing is cheaper than a Land Rover Defender, cheaper than a Toyota Land Cruiser, and I would say in terms of street cred, probably far higher. So it'll be interesting to see what it's like to live with. Okay then, so 2024 Jeep Wrangler. We've got the key here. This is the Sahara model, which means we get a few nice little extras. Keyless entry and start, of course, but let's just go round the outside of this bad boy, because it is a good looking vehicle. And it's definitely much softer in terms of the styling, much more curvy. That's down to the aerodynamic requirements, the latest fuel efficiency regulations, environmental regulations, pedestrian regulations. You'll see that this has got this big deformable bumper here, so if you hit a pedestrian, the chances are that they're scooped up rather than going underneath the vehicle. Now, Jeeps are obviously off-road vehicles, designed to be off-road, and this is fitting with Bridgestone Jewelers 255/70 R18s, and I do think these alloys look particularly nice with this blue colour. I'm not sure I'd go for the blue colour if I was to buy one, but just a nice combination in this case. And you'll notice here we've got the nod to the Willys Jeep, and there are so many of these little nods to the historical side of Jeep. They have really done a good job at trying to preserve the history, trying to sort of respect the wishes of Jeep enthusiasts. So as we come around the side, you've met with very slab-sided design, exposed hinges just like the old Jeeps, just like our JK was. And you'll notice we don't have running boards, but we've got these solid steel rock bashers, or rock sliders, as Mrs. DL calls them, rock bashers. We've got the trail rated badge on the side here. We've got our lovely exposed, what the Americans call them, fenders, with the integrated lighting in here as well, which they didn't have on the JK models. We've also got the fantastic new headlight design, which are fabulous. They're really good headlights. Fantastic sort of visibility in the dark, full LED of course, and they're intelligent as well, so they you can have them fitted with the auto dipping, that sort of thing. And that's the thing about this car, is it's really modernised the Jeep Wrangler as we know it. You've still got the ability to remove the windscreen, remove the doors, remove the roof, and we'll go into that in a minute. You'll notice this one as well is fitted with a colour-coded roof. It's available with a soft top as well, or you can have a black hard top roof depending on your preference. And just need to mention that this vehicle is kindly provided by Keith Price Garages. They've just become a Jeep dealer, opened on the 18th of October, and they are now sort of your perfect Jeep dealer. They're not too big, they're really happy to help, and they very kindly lent us this car today. So be sure to check them out if you're in the market for a Jeep Wrangler or any other Jeep model, because they've got the full selection. So this is also the 4-door. They've discontinued the 2-door. The one we had, the JK, was a 2-door, and it was very compromised in terms of practicality. It was brilliant because it was quite a small vehicle, so you could have no issues parking it, but you know, it's limited, and I can understand why they've done it, because they probably didn't sell many. We've obviously got the quintessentially Jeep spare tyre on the back here, and we've also got these headlines, these rear lights, which is designed to look like a jerry can from World War II. So there's quite a few nods to the Willys Jeep. We've got the integrated backup camera here in the centre of the spare wheel. We obviously always need a spare wheel. Interestingly, I can't see a rear wiper. Oh no, there is a rear wiper, it's hidden. The previous ones used to come down from the top. They've obviously rearranged that. We've got these more plastic bumpers here, and then these heavy duty recovery loops as well, which are, well, they're pretty beefy and solid, which is nice. Now the interesting thing about the JL compared to the JK is that they've gone to a monocoque chassis rather than a body on frame, so it drives much more like a car. And what they've done by doing that is really improve the on-road handling. There's far less fidgety, even in just the first few miles that I've driven it today. Far less fidgety, far more composed than the previous generation, which makes a big difference. And the whole thing about this generation is to make it an easier to live with, more comfortable vehicle. So just a few headline figures. We've got the 2-litre petrol engine, like I said, 268 brake horsepower to be precise, with 0 to 60 in 7.6 seconds, so it's no slouch, and a claimed MPG rating of around 26, which isn't bad. That's actually better than our previous diesel JK was. So you know, they've definitely improved it, and that's probably down to slightly more aerodynamic shaping. The windscreen is much more raked back. Previous generation was much more upright, but it's still very definitely a beefy Jeep. So let's take a look at the inside then, and we'll start in the boot and work our way forward to the driving cockpit. So we've got, like I said, we've got keyless entry, still got the side tailgate, which is nice, and you've got a few little things here, like these are a nice touch, I think. Various bits and pieces, where built in Toledo, Ohio, developed in Auburn Hills, Michigan. Just, you know, very nice little features. Trail rated logo there as well. And then we've got the second part of the roof, the second part of the rear even, that opens up into a relatively good size. We could probably fit 2 dogs in here, no problem. We've got, every Wrangler is fitted with a high quality, I think it's 520 watt Alpine sound system, which is a nice addition. We've got a rear 12-volt socket as well, and you'll notice we've got the big roll bar here, far less intrusive than the previous generation, and that's handy because it did used to get in the way. You can obviously lay the back seats as well, lay them flat from the back here, which is nice and handy. Be easy if you had a little switch or something here that released them, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. So we've also got a little Easter egg here, which is the JL logo in here. There's lots of this stuff around this car. Now, under here, we have a nice little storage area, but we've also got, well, you'd be forgiven thinking there's a bunch of holes, but actually this is where the bolts go for when you take off the doors, you take off the roof, and you put your windscreen down. So that's a nice little feature. They actually give you that so you don't lose your bolts. And there's also a jack underneath there as well, because it comes with the spare wheel, like I said. So boot space, very good, and actually it's quite cavernous once you have the seats down as well. This feels much more sturdy than the previous generation, which is nice, because we actually had issues of the electrics coming off of it, so the heating elements stopped working on the old one. So that's interesting. They've got rid of the key operated fuel flap, so it's much more, well, they've actually just covered it rather than left it exposed, which is reasonably, it's an interesting touch. I quite like the fact that you just have no filler there, but you know, each to their own. So in the back here we've got a nice bench of 3 seats. We've got 2-part armrest, we've got cup holders in there, which is handy, and interestingly you can probably move it along. Yes, you can extend it as well, so you can extend your armrest, and I'm not sure what that would be, a phone holder for long journeys, that sort of thing. So yeah, you've got a nice big space to sit here. I'm 6'2", I fit in here no problem at all. The only thing is the ingress is slightly inhibited by this big arch here, and also that really hurts if you gouge yourself on it, so just be aware of that. But again, these doors can come off, which is a nice feature. Inside we've got a lot more lighting. The previous generation Jeeps, this one just feels much more like a car. That's the easiest way to say it. We've got nice LED lighting all the way around here, nicely illuminates the inside. We've also got the window switches for the rear are in the center here, as well as USB charging, and a 230 volt outlet, so a full 3-pin plug outlet, which is pretty cool. We've also got obviously nice sort of storage area here. We've got little nets for your maps, for your off-road maps, and overall just a relatively nice place to sit. Plenty of room. We could easily fit 3 adults in there. It's nice and wide. And then let's go round to the cockpit, where the magic happens. And this is the biggest change that I noticed. First of all, electric seats. You never had that in the previous generation. I think we probably did on the posh models, but you know, this is where you notice that Jeep have made this much more of a modern, comfortable car rather than an out-and-out off-roader. We've got electric mirrors, lock unlock here, nice big milled aluminium door handles, nice big mat bins here in the door there. Another little thing I've just noticed, which is fabulous, is you'll notice it says T50 here, and that's because it's a T50 bolt to remove it. They've not gone to any lengths to hide any information. They've sort of embraced it. And so just to remove the door, you just undo 2 of these bolts, unclip the electrics, and it's gone. You've just got a beach buggy. So that's pretty cool. Automatic headlights and stuff, that was on the previous generation, but you know, just again much more modernised. And then as we hop in here, quite a way up, we've got integrated door handles, which is quite a common mod for the old generation. Is we had wild boar handles in there as well. Notice here we've got curtain airbags, which is now sort of a modern requirement. We've got standard mirror, etc. And then here we are in the side, and we'll just start it, which buttons here. Get a nice reminder that you're driving a Jeep there. Did you notice how it went from the old version to the new version? That's quite cool. Digital display here, which is really nice actually. It gives you everything you need to know. You see we've got not the best fuel economy so far, but everything's really nicely presented. Then moving down onto the steering wheel, we've got all the multifunctional controls you come to expect from a modern vehicle. We've also got the adaptive cruise control, it's got emergency braking, all the required safety features that modern cars have, which is all nice and easy to use. Again, previously on the previous generations you had a stalk that was down here taken from an old Mercedes. This is a much more cohesive package. Indicators, headlights, all as you'd expect. You've got our wiper controls here as well. Dials, they're interesting. I mean, it's interesting for me to see something raised up this big. You know, this is your view out, by the way. Quite an interesting, cool look. But to see dials that go up to 6,000 RPM on a truck like this is bizarre. It's totally bizarre to me, but you know. Anyway, in the middle here we've got the Jeep's new big infotainment system. This is a wide screen that's probably 12 inches wide, a good foot wide, but you've got everything in this. You've got your radio, audio obviously, comfort settings, so you do have the option to do that here as well, which I like, and Jeep have designed it so you can operate with gloves on, and even, you know, this is screwed in. It just, keeping that sort of thing exposed makes it feel more like a Jeep. It's an odd thing, but we do have luxuries such as heated seats, heated steering wheel, which is gorgeous. It's just a very, very nice tidy area. Satellite navigation as well, of course, which conveniently isn't loading. Here we go. We've got the phone, we've got vehicle settings. That's a bit measly, isn't it? Obviously on the Rubicon, where you've got all sorts of stuff like rear lockers and all that sort of stuff, that will be accessed through here, as well as in a panel down here as well. This being a Sahara model doesn't have it, but Jeep have got a fantastic system, traction control system, where it'll brake each wheel. So for the majority of people, unless you're doing really hardcore sort of canyon crawling, you don't really need the Rubicon unless you want to look cool. So in here we've got our bank of switches, like I said, volume, stereo controls, fan controls as well. It's nice because a lot of modern cars have done away with this and just got a screen. Jeep have kept sort of the proper usability interface, which I like. Hill descent control there, and I like the fact that we've got screen off. That's just nice. I'm one of these people, I don't really like screens, so the ability to just press it off rather than have to go through 5 different menus on the touchscreen is just nice. When you're driving at night, it's quite often just nice to turn that off, which is handy. You've got parking sensors and everything. A cigarette lighter, which is interesting. You don't normally get those on modern vehicles, but we have one here, and it works as a 12-volt socket as well. Window switches, a little Jeep quirk is that all the window switches are in the middle here. And the idea is that because you're taking the you can take the doors off, it's one less electrical system to remove, so you've only just got one wire that goes to the motor and door unlock rather than having the multiple switches. That's Jeep's reasoning anyway. Fitted with auto start stop, which seems wrong on a Jeep, but it's here. Media, that's just a USB plug, but I like the fact that it's under a, I don't know what you call that, a flap. This is a gear selector here, nice nod to the Willys Jeep there, and a reassuring clunk when it goes into gear. Big red button here as well. You've got the option for manual, and then we've got our 4-wheel drive selector. So we're in 2-wheel drive at the moment. Move it back, that's 4-wheel drive. And that's acknowledged on the display in the middle here. We've then got part-time 4-wheel drive, and then we've got, if we go into, you've got to put the truck into neutral, move it back. It's not going to let me do it. What do we have to do? Anyway, I think you have to be moving actually. So we've then got the low ratios as well, which gives a really good crawling capability. It's quite impressive when you see it happening. We've also got a nice chunky manual handbrake, which is good sized glove box with all your accoutrements in, including nice Jeep accessories, etc., and a good sized, oh there we go, it's 2-part center console here. This center console is a nice size actually. It just fits your arm perfectly. These leather seats are also very comfortable. Everything's just very nice, and we've got the removable panels here, so that's what all this sort of bracketry is that we can just remove panels, and they're designed to store in the boot. That bag you saw in the boot was for that. One little quirk, and this is just my issue, haven't worked out how to get these to turn off, so that's making me laugh a bit. I'm driving along with the lighting on, but I'm sure we'll work that out. We've probably got to do it in here or something. Yeah, overall, just a really nice to be. Even, you know, these fancy vents here, these are a bit of a nod to the older vehicles. They're good, but it just works very well as a modern vehicle. Like I said, the Alpine system's really nice, and then we've also got a little Easter egg there with the Willys Jeep, but it's much more refined and comfortable to sit in than the previous generations. So what we'll do now is we'll take it out on the road and let you know how it drives. Okay, so here we are. Let's get ready for a spin. So we start as 2-litre petrol engine. We've got to agree that we're happy for the sat nav to work. So into drive, and straight away, how quiet is this? Drivers of the old JK diesels they won't recognise it, that's for sure. Far more composed over bumps. I'm now being told off because I'm going over 5 miles an hour in a Waitrose car park. So if you're going to buy one and those sort of things annoy you, buy one from before 2024, because that's when all this safety kit came in. So I mean, this is the car is idling at this speed. I can't physically go any slower, so it's going to have to put up with it. But one of the best things, just being in the car park here, this really stood out compared to all the other vehicles. This is the one that stands out. We'll soon get out of that. There we go, I think. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take it onto the dual carriageway, because I want to show you how quiet this thing is, how refined it is compared to the old generation, because it's a massive step forward, and I think that's what Jeep have really done well with this generation, is they've distilled a lot of the quintessential Jeep features but there's another one there. But then they've also made it a much easier vehicle to live with. In the gearbox, for example, much smoother. You can hear that little 2 litre whirring away. We're up temperature actually, so what I can do, I'm going to go off the just so you guys can sort of see. It's relatively quick, not 67.6 seconds. It's 40 now, 50, 60, 70, there we go. And then just back in, nice and chill. There's a little bit of wind noise just coming from the top right here, I've just noticed, but other than that, you quite happily do big long journeys in this, no problem. It doesn't get upset at big bumps or anything like that. It's just very, very composed, comfortable, and it's got, we're at 60 now, there's 70. It's got a lot of get up and go with it, which the other one sort of ran out of puff at this sort of speed. They're quite uncomfortable with it, whereas this is much more composed. Now, it's got a top speed of 112 miles an hour. Not that you'd really want to go much faster than sort of 80, 90 to be honest, to one of these. They're not designed for those sorts of speeds. But it does just give you a real sort of sure-footed feeling on the road. We've got electric steering, which I'm not a major fan of in modern vehicles, to be honest, but this is done quite well. They've sort of aggregated it in a way that it's responsive enough and light enough at low speed, but isn't a nightmare at high speed, so it really stiffens up. Just put our foot down. There we go, all the way down. It's far quicker than a Jeep Wrangler should be. Mr. DL's just smirking there, he's trying to hold the camera still. But, you know, it drives really well. No, it's telling me off. Oh, it's telling me off because I'm crossing the lane. So interestingly, it's not grabbing the wheel out of my hand, which I really dislike a car doing. It's just beeping at me instead. So, but as we're driving along, just take in this lovely sort of commanding view of the road. That bonnet there is quite iconic. We've got extra big vents in it and extra handles, but it's definitely a Jeep. And the same can be said for this windscreen here. Quite a sort of a letterbox style windscreen, but all day, every day. And like I said, it's very comfortable. Oh no! Oh, it's got voice control, so I can't say the J word anymore. You know what vehicle this is. So, and I've just had a message now saying it's unable to use the auto high beam because the windscreen's wet. So we'll just do that to make it happy again. There we go. That's perhaps a slight downside, but this is something that applies to all modern vehicles. They get very involved in what you're doing. What I liked about the old Jeep JK was that it was a Jeep, and it just did Jeep things, and it didn't worry about what you were doing. It assumed you had everything under control, whereas this one, a bit over nannying. But again, that's the same on every car now. And that's why car prices have increased significantly over the last sort of 5-10 years, because the amount of technology that they're required to put in them. So that's a little rant over, but what we're going to do now is we're going to come off this dual carriageway. I think we can all agree that it's a very competent sort of cruiser. I'm sure the noise would increase if you had the Rubicon with more aggressive off-road tyres, but this is a nice sort of blend here of comfort, quietness. Mr. DL and I were having a perfect conversation, no problem at all. But everything around you just reminds you of the Jeep as well. It's a really odd but well executed mix of maintaining the Jeep side of it. So let's come off here. Even the indicator noise is different to other vehicles, which is quite interesting. But it's quite easy to place in the road, and it stays very composed over cat's eyes. The old Jeep, you'd be feeling that all the way through your seat, whereas in this it's much more sedate, should we say. So far, since I've been driving it around, which is, to be honest, is mainly round town so far. We've done a few blasts up and down the dual carriageway and country roads. We've averaged 16.7 mpg, which yeah, is probably perhaps Drowsy driver alert. It's doing all sorts of beeping. Apparently I'm a drowsy driver because I was looking at the roundabout instead of where I was going. But clean front windshield. These safety systems are getting very unhappy. But there we go. How's that? I don't like safety systems. It doesn't seem to know what it's doing today. But yeah, like I said, it drives very well. And if you don't really buy a Jeep Wrangler for fuel economy, if you wanted to do that, you go and buy a Prius or a Tesla or something. But I don't know what's going on here. This is the road I want to go on. Just take it easy and see what's going on here. Oh dear, car's been on fire. Oh, there's been a crash. There's been a crash. Oh no, it's caught fire. Let's hope everything's okay. But we're already doing better than a BMW, that's for sure. So yeah, it's just, you don't buy a Jeep Wrangler for its fuel economy. You buy it to have something that stands out. You buy it to have, this is quite annoying, this beeping. You buy it to stand out from the crowd, but also for its capabilities off-road. Mrs. DL and I were just saying, straight away when we get in this thing, it sort of works with how we like to live. We live up a narrow lane, we live in the countryside. It just instantly works. The fact that you've got a fender that you can just use as a table on the outside or a wheel arch is perfect, because we like to eat outside. Perhaps we're weird, or perhaps we're the ideal customer for a Jeep, I'm not sure, but it's just, yeah, a very nice place to be, and they've made it very easy to live with. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Okay, so you join us in a housing estate. We've managed to stop the incessant beeping. All I did was get out and shut the door, and then get back in it and shut the door again, and it decided to start working again. Which is interesting, but again, this sort of goes to show modern safety systems in cars. It was driving absolutely fine. The only thing it was doing was beeping a lot.
I wouldn't mind, but it didn't even have a message to tell us what was wrong.
To show, it just said, it came up saying all the safety systems had stopped working, and then it was wasn't very happy about it. But anyway, we're back on it, so let's get back to the review. It drives very well. Around the A-rows and stuff, it's just absolutely fine. Mrs. DL just commented saying the noise in the back on the dual carriageway was quite loud. Thank you very much. And that's because obviously we've got a plastic roof, detachable plastic roof. They have sound deadened it a bit, but obviously she said there was still a bit of noise, so that's worth considering. But I suppose that's one of the quirks of a Jeep Wrangler, I suppose.
And in the back of most modern cars, it's the same.
Well,
same
exactly,
noise.
yeah.
It's not anything different, I wouldn't say.
That's true. They sort of isolate the driver so much, but the rear passenger compartment seems to get left behind in quite a few modern cars. I mean, talk about your experience in the back. How is it so far in the back?
It's having sat in the front, it's uncomfortable compared to the front.
Okay.
The windows are nice. I think all the Volvos we had before, when we've worked with Keith Price, the windows are quite narrow, aren't they, in the new Volvos? Obviously
quite high belt line cars, aren't they? Yeah.
But not in the Jeep for some reason. Probably because you've got that higher position. Oh, here we go. Is it going again?
Drowsy driver alert. Service required. That's interesting, that. I'm not sure why that's caused that, but yeah, look, even as we're pootling around town here, oh, it stopped again. It's, you know, it's exceptionally competent. I've just got myself into the wrong lane as well here. Just, whoopsie. But it's as good around town as it is on the open road. We've got blind spot assist as well, which is handy. Now, the interesting, Mrs. Dale and I were just having a conversation about we sold our Jeep to pay a stamp duty tax bill on a new house, but we kind of want one again. This is definitely reignited our need for a Jeep.
Or one of those.
Or one of those, but you wouldn't even be able to hear me speak right now for driving one of those.
Exactly.
Oh, I see. So I think for me, someone who does, because I've got a 40-mile commute. I think it's the speed awareness thing. It's just, you know.
But you're not speeding, you're doing 20 miles an hour.
But everything's a 20-mile-an-hour limit in Wales.
But you weren't going over the speed limit when it was
21.
turned off.
No, true. When it was stopped and turned off and I got
it was
out,
still
it was still
beeping
saying
at
I was
you.
speeding. But yeah, what as a vehicle to live with, it's pretty epic. I really enjoy driving it. It's amazing the difference, how much better it is than in terms of driving experience, comfort, day-to-day living, than the previous generation. They've really pushed it forward there. And the thing with the old one is that was £800 a year to tax, £780 a year to tax we paid. This one's 190, plus you get the extra payment because it's valued over £42,000. But you know, it's a vehicle that is on par with other vehicles to own and run and enjoy. So yeah, I think it's, in terms of my overall, these are just some of the Jeeps that they've got here as well at Keith Price. I think it's a brilliant thing. I've also realised that I've now just parked in the wrong place, so I've got to move it. But yeah, definitely a vehicle to consider. I mean, compared to Land Rover Defender, compared to Land Cruiser, this has got as much capability off-road, but it's much cheaper. So for me, I think it wins out of that group. That is coming from a Jeep fan, but you know, it's a brilliant car, and it's interesting. You know, people have stopped and stared at this thing. They don't do that with the Land Rover Defender. They don't do that with the Land Cruiser. So if you're looking for something to be slightly different to everyone else, this is the vehicle for you. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.